I'm going to be showing you the exact portfolio that I used to get into UC Berkeley's coveted MFA art practice program. If you don't know about this program, I highly recommend you check it out. It is fully funded. There are opportunities to teach within the program. The faculty is incredible. The resources of the university are incredible. And I feel so blessed to have been able to get my MFA from this world renowned university. If you want to know more about that, I do have another video that I'm putting right here where I share my journey towards getting my MFA, what it was like to be in the program. I give some tips and tricks. So definitely hop on over there after you watch today's video. And you can always pause, of course, and just go hop right in, learn more about me and my journey, and then come right back and learn about the portfolio that I use to get into this program. And so before I go into the portfolio, just want to say that the information I'm providing is really for you to learn from, to ask questions. Always feel free to leave a comment if you have a question, if something comes up, if you're wanting to know more about something. I love hearing from you all. And as a matter of fact, this video is here today because of a comment that someone left on a previous video. And again, feel free to let this be a conversation between us, right? Don't hesitate to ask, to share, and offer your own resources as well. I want this to be a place where we can all learn and support each other, because I know how hard the process is of getting an MFA, of getting accepted. It took me a long time, and again, you can watch that video that I shared earlier to learn how long it actually took me to get into an MFA program. As an artist, I want to say that you are the main curator, you're the main editor when it comes to your portfolio. You are the one that gets to make those big decisions. Go with your gut, follow your intuition, see what really resonates with what I share, and of course, leave what doesn't. Because you get to decide what is valuable for you. And I really want to say that because I know so many of us here want to offer information, want to share about ourselves. And that is really great. And it's really great to learn from others. But at the end of the day, I think we are the ones that make these really big decisions. And that is what being an artist is really deciding, curating, and putting a stake into what you're naming as your work, as what's important, right? Because that's really what we're showing with our portfolio, is like, this is what's important about my art, this is what I want to highlight, this is what I want people to know about when they think of my name or of my art practice. Without further ado, we're going to be hopping into my portfolio, and we're going to be moving into seeing my screen and going over what it is I use to get accepted and to get an interview. And of course, as I shared in my last video, this is a really big part of getting an interview, is uh, captivating people with your portfolio, really ensnaring them, using your images to really communicate what is at the core of your practice. So let's hop on in. Wonderful. So here we are in my portfolio. As you can see, it is the MFA art portfolio. This is from 2020, and I have 25 items that I've included. And I'll give you just like a quick overview of what they all look like before diving into them. I created this in somewhat a chronological order. I think for the most part, it's chronological. And I want to start off by saying that, it felt really important to share my most recent work at the beginning. So you could see here, the first artwork I had was from my forthcoming exhibition, which took place at the Oregon Contemporary in Portland, Oregon. And this is a detail image from that exhibition. If you saw my last video, you learned that it is really important to capture people's attention, to make sure that you have an artwork that really represents who you are and that also gets people interested and excited about your practice. And so I felt like this image would really do that. It would really capture people's attention and also get them curious about my work. It is a collage, a digital collage with an image of myself dressed up as a clown. There's also an Eye of God and some peyote, sacred blue deer kayumari. There is a person with exclamation marks on their head and some corn, and it's on a gradient purple and blue background. And yeah, to me, this really felt like one, just sharing like, hey, look, I have an upcoming solo show, and also here's a detail of that solo show. This work, as I said, is digital, but it ended up becoming printed on a fabric shower curtain. And so that really, at that time, really shared where I was seeing my work growing and how excited I was about being able to translate digital into the physical and creating installation immersive environments. And that's the first one. And again, I think it was able to capture their attention enough to like get them to click onto my second image, which is what you're wanting. You want them to like be curious. So maybe give them, a little amuse-bouche, a little taste, and then bring them in into the more maybe impactful works, or maybe something that's like, been shown or exhibited. And again, it doesn't have to be in a museum. Like for example, this is my second image. Nuestros antepasados nos hablan directamente, which means our ancestors speak directly to us. This is a billboard that I was curated to create in 2019 in Tulsa, Oklahoma by the artist Richard Zimmerman. And again, this is not in a museum space, it is out in the community. And I'm really proud of this work. This is, for me, one of the most exciting pieces I've made in my life because it's the largest I've seen my art. And if you've been following me or see some of my most recent videos, you'll know that I've made even larger works than this now. But at the time, it was really important to share, like, look, I've made work at this scale, and I'm also really interested in speaking about Indigenous futurism, Indigenous culture, and spiritual practices. And it was really also important for me to share that I like to make work that's for the community, that is both for, people that exist within my own intersections as a person, and also it felt important to highlight art that I had in another city or another state, because at this time I was doing an artist fellowship in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And so to show that I'm like creating work across the country, right, both in Oregon and California, that's where I'm originally from, and also here in Tulsa. And so going to the next one. And this is documentation of my first ever solo exhibition at the Vincent Price Art Museum. This exhibition is called Perpetual Flowering. And again, really wanting to show, like, look, I've had my art installed in museum spaces. I create work across multiple mediums. Here you can see there are printed textiles, there are photographs, there is video artwork, and in the corner on the right, there are also some flower essences that I made in collaboration with the artist Saewon O. And so really showing that I'm transmedia, that I like to create experiences for people, that to me is at the core of my work, is like creating spaces for contemplation, for curiosity, for creativity, and really wanting that to come across in my portfolio, that I'm thinking a lot about the audience and about my own practices and how they come together to create a certain feeling and energy. So again, this is my third image, third of 25. So hitting them hard at the beginning. And then I decided just to do a few more images from this solo show. As you could see here, just another angle, and it actually shows a person in the space. I thought that would be important to just show the scale and also show someone engaging and interacting with the artwork. So this is more of a detailed installation shot from one of the more private spaces within Perpetual Flowering. As you can see here, it shows the questions that I asked some of the participants who ended up becoming a part of the exhibition. You can see a video recording that these folks are watching, and I asked the people these questions that are on the wall, which is, ¿Qué te hubiera gustado saber de niñez? Or what would you like to have known as a child? What's something you wish you would have known growing up? So I asked these questions to queer and trans artists based both in Los Angeles and Oklahoma. Created these like spaces for intergenerational exchange where artists could share some of the lessons they've learned growing up or things that they wish they would have known, and as a way to share knowledge, share experience, share desires, share wishes with the visitors who came into the space. And here's another installation shot showing a couple of my friends in the space looking at the artwork. Just really wanting to show this space activated by bodies. And, I was really grateful that I had 25 files, whether images or photos, I was able to include in this portfolio, so I could really, kind of start with a couple of artworks. As you could see, I started off, the first three are really important. That's something that I've shared in the last video, is that your first three images are the most important images of all the images. Whatever it is, whether it's video, art, photography, documentation, like whatever you're putting in your portfolio, your first three are your biggest bangers, like you really want to capture people's attention, because in some cases, if you don't capture their attention in the first three, you might not get the rest of your portfolio seen. And so, as you saw, I had three that artworks that I felt were really strong, all very different from each other. And once I went past that third one, I then started to dive a little bit deeper into this installation. And the reason I'm showing so many images of this work is that it was my first solo show. That to me as an artist is a career defining moment where your art gets shown within the museum setting, gets curated by an incredible curator. Her name is Pilar Tompkins Rivas. Such an honor to have my artwork curated by her. And so I really wanted to highlight this, to really dive deep into it and to show details, to show activations of the space, to show what it's like to see my art in person. And then so here are some even closer details. So I wanted to also include actual artwork, since what you saw before were all documentation works by Monica Orozco, who's an incredible photographer who documented this solo show. And so those were all documentation, and now we are in the seventh image and you are starting to see actual artwork. So here is one of the photographs that I created in archival pigment print for this exhibition. I am representing myself as a goddess, Tate Haremara, and I really feel like this speaks to my long history of doing self-portrait work, of also including myself into historical images, and working with collage and, very colorful, high fluorescent, neon colors. These are things that I feel are really a big part of my practice, and so it felt important to highlight that. So now we're going to the next image, and this is another detail image from the installation. This is another archival pigment print that was on the wall. Again, really leaning into the colorful, the fantastical, the psychedelic, showing the three ancestors of the Nierika. This is for the direction of north, which is where the ancestors live. And this is sacred deer, Cayumari, sacred corn or maize, and peyote in the center, as well as a flower of life and some clouds. And so again, showing my interest in spirituality, in indigenous cosmologies, indigenous futurism, and showing my interest in collage, as I've shared before. So again, these are like, now I'm in the eighth image and I'm getting kind of just showing details of my work. And so I had several videos and I thought it was important to share one of the videos in the installation just so that they could see what my video work looks like. This is an excerpt. I'll just share a couple of seconds of it. Los emplumados ya lo soñaron y ya lo cantaron. Okay, I'll pause it there. Just really wanting to highlight the fact that I do performative work. That performance has been one of the many practices that I connect with, but one that's been very consistent in my work. I also love music, as you could also see, playing with glitch, with the digital imagery, with indigenous cosmologies. And this song is a ceremonial song of the Nierika that I've kind of reinterpreted through pop music. And so that also really felt important for me to highlight that intersection that I'm connecting with, and that I use video and GIFs to do that work. And so that's why this is the 9th image here that we are seeing, again, still on perpetual flowering. As I said, if you do have an art project that's been really important, that has really defined your career, definitely after that 3rd image, I really recommend you go deeper into it. You share details. You really let people get a sense of what your art is like. And then so we are finally number 10. This is finally moving into another artwork. This is called Rainbow Transmissions. This is actually an artwork that I created in collaboration with the Golden Dome School, which is a metaphysical, environmentalist, political, magical school. And this was really to highlight the fact that I love to collaborate, that I work a lot with different communities. This was funded by the Department of Cultural Affairs in the city of Los Angeles. And this was an event that took place in downtown LA at Pershing Square. And it took the form of multiple performances. We also had food for the community that came. We invited a lot of our friends, and a lot of folks that were just hanging out in downtown also came to participate. And so really wanting to show that I do work that is, my own, and that I also communicate and collaborate with a lot of different folks, and that I like to host public events. That to me is a really big part of my practice. And I think wanting to really show that, aside from making immersive installation spaces, I also like to create environments and spaces out in public, and really, again, thinking about the viewer, thinking about the visitor. I think those are things that I really am showing in this, way that I'm kind of crafting a narrative through my portfolio. And I think that's, again, what you have to think about, is that we're crafting narratives. We're showing who we are through these narratives. And so here's another detail image documentation. This is from the 2nd weekend. As I said, this event had 2 iterations. And so this is from the 2nd iteration, wanting just to show another documentation of me performing, another amazing performance artist named Yoli performing as well. And then here's another image. So just really showing details, because I think those things are so important, to show just details of the artwork. And I do have a short video that I'm going to just share a little bit of, just so you can see what the event looked like. Okay, so I'll pause it there. And I think with one thing I want to say with this is that this is something I made in collaboration with a ton of people. As you can see, there's a lot of folks involved. And so just know that like in your portfolio, you can obviously it's important to show your individual work, but also know that if you're doing work in community, that that's also really important too, and that you should highlight that, and of course make sure that you name that, that it's understood, that it that it's documentation, that it's understood that it's been done in collaboration. You could also name some of the folks that you've collaborated with. So just know that it doesn't have to only be your own individual artwork that you're showing in your portfolio. And so this next video here I shared is called Smuggled Interdimensional Transmission #2. This is a performative video that I made for a witchy series called The Commons. And this series took place online, and a lot of different incredible artists participated to make season 2, and I was one of those artists that was chosen. I worked on this video piece during my time in Tulsa in the fellowship artist residency that I was a part of there. And I'm really proud of this work. I feel like it turned out so incredible. I personally am a big fan of this way that this all came together. And so I really wanted to show this again, to show my performative side, to show my skill in video editing and also in making sounds and working with repurposed imagery, and also in managing and directing something, because I collaborated with a couple of folks on this. I had an assistant who helped me with my costuming, and so to show that I can also like have projects that I work on, and that this is again a part of my practice. And so I'll just show just a little bit so you can see what this looks like.
Hello, my name is, and in our dimension, we do not need vocal cords to communicate. There are certain beings in your dimension that do not want you to know about your infinite power. Your ancestors are rooting for you. Angels, you are being asked to abandon the colonialist notion that rational, logical, linear thought is hierarchically superior. Step into the sacred liminal flow.
Pause that there. Again, showing video work. So we're now on number 14. We're almost halfway through the portfolio. And I wanted to highlight some of my workshop work that I've done. I host a lot of different types of events, workshops, ceremonies, psychoeducational experiences. I am also a therapist, and so wanting just to show that I work a lot with people. And this was a workshop that took place at a event called Desert Days, which happens out in the desert. It's a psychedelic rock festival, and I thought it was really exciting to see my work in this type of environment. And for this project, we connected with some local plants. There was a local pepper tree that I invited folks to connect with, and then we had space to process and share what came through for us. And it was a really beautiful event, and I'm really proud of this. And I see it again as a big part of my practice. And so, again, just knowing that your practice can be really expansive. As you can see, I have all sorts of practices that I'm bringing into this, and even using my medium as experiential workshop, right? Like, there are many ways that our art shows up, and to really be proud of that, be excited about that. Because for me, like, I'm a Gemini, I love to share all sorts of artwork. And so, I think it's important to highlight how diverse you are if you are diverse, right? And so, this is number 16, wanting to show what I did for the Not Enough LGBTQIA plus Music and Arts Festival showcase. This was something that I did with my partner in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We invited some local musicians to participate. And this is just a short little trailer just to show you what the event looked like. Again, this took place in Tulsa, and I love some of the bands that we invited. And my own band, Gay K, participated in this, so it's kind of like a dual, like curation and event organizing, community organizing, social practice, right? And it also is showing and highlighting my own musical and performative work that I do with my partner, Thaddeus Pedicic. So I'll just show a little bit of this. Back so many good memories to see this. I love the 3 bands that we invited to be a part of this. It's so special to see this again. And again, highlighting that this is something I did in collaboration. This is something that where I blur the boundaries, where it's both curation, event organizing, and performance. So again, you don't have to have, neatly defined, mediums or processes to include stuff in your portfolio. And this next image here, number 17 of 25, is an event called Common Rhizomes that I did in Tulsa. This was again in collaboration with the Golden Dome School that I mentioned earlier, and it was a workshop that I hosted in a space that was there in Tulsa, where we communed with a flower essence made by 2 artists named Saewon that I've mentioned before, and Kwonyin, and they made a catharsis potion, and we connected with that potion and shared what came through, shared parts of ourselves. It was a really healing experience. And again, I was the curator or the host, the event organizer for this. So my medium is public programming for this one. And this next number 18 here of 25, I included Mirroring Resilience, which was an artist residence that I did at La Maida, which was a community healing space in North Hollywood. This was through a grant that I got through the Department of Cultural Affairs in Los Angeles. And for this event, I invited 24 artists to be a part of a journey, and then curated an experience for them where I invited some healers, some witches, some artists to facilitate some experiences. And this took place like over, I think, 3 to 4 months. And after that was done, we ended up having an exhibition together. And so this is just a documentation of one of the workshops. You can see we're in the middle of a process. And I didn't include images from the exhibition, but I just felt that last image was so dynamic that I wanted just to include that. And of course, if people are interested, they can go and look on my YouTube channel so you could see what the actual exhibition ended up looking like. It was really powerful. And so this next image is a performance image. So again, wanting to highlight my performance artwork. This is a work called Nacimos en Jaulas, Abrimos las alas y volamos. And this was done at the Vincent Price Art Museum. And this was through a grant that I received. Again, here I am in dual roles. I am a Gemini. I was both a curator, where I curated myself, and for other artists to create some performative artworks responding to Laura Aguilar, the incredible, now late photographer. It was her retrospective. I think it was her first retrospective at Vincent Price. And we each picked a couple of artworks, either one work or two. I think I picked two for mine, and we created works that responded to the photography. And so this was the first performance that took place in the museum. And for this one, I allowed myself to move through intense emotions, both laughter, despondency, sadness, grieving, kind of mania. So I like had this like flow that I went through in the space, as I also like moved around and connected with the energy of the space and the work. And this is still from part two, from the second performance that was a part of this event. And so again, I curated this event, so I could have shown maybe even other work from other artists, but I felt like it was important to show my own work because I am the one performing. And so again, that's like one of those like editing kind of choices that I made, was to really highlight the work I did in this event, just because of course this is my portfolio. So I wanted to show both my performance and that I also curated myself into this experience, because that's something I've done actually a lot in my practice, where it actually stems from being in a place where I felt like a lot of museums or institutions did not want to show my work, or didn't know who I was, didn't care about my practice. And so I felt really like I had to make space for myself. And I think this really does resonate a lot with Laura Aguilar's work, because she was so interested in access, who has access. And that to me is really an access issue where, and I want to say this to folks who might be working on their portfolio, is if you're like, oh, but I don't have places that want to show my work, curate yourself. Like find a venue, whether that venue is outdoors at the swap meet, in a billboard, raise some money, show your own work. Like there are ways that you can really uplift and platform yourself that I think are so important. Like I think it needs to be said out loud, because some people could be like afraid of doing that or feel like that's weird. But I just know that for myself, that's been a life-changing move, to really curate myself into shows, because sometimes you won't get curated and you will just sit around waiting for someone to highlight your work. And so don't be afraid to share your artwork and to really make space for yourself. I really want to name that, because that feels important to share here. So this is just another image here from that performance. I felt like it was just important to show different sides of it, because it was a very dynamic performance, and that it did include some projected video of mine, costuming, sound. So just wanting just to give a little bit of a glimpse of that to folks. And then number 22, we're almost done. This was one of the biggest artworks I've done in my life, because it took over a year to finish this artwork. This is called Give Us Home Spider, and I did this in 2017 as part of Pacific Standard Time, the last performative work. I'll go back to it. This was also a part of Pacific Standard Time. And so this was at the Angels Gate Cultural Center. It was curated by Martabel Wasserman and Raquel Gutierrez. And for this project, I worked with environmentalist and policy advisor Demi Espinosa, and we chose 4 sites of environmental impact that have been impacted by different industries. And most of the spaces are, as you would imagine, communities of color, low-income communities. And so I wanted to do rituals at these sites to align myself with other Nierika activists that are also doing ritual work, activist work at different sites of environmental impact, and to align myself with indigenous sovereignty movements, and also to name that they are happening here in California as well, and wanting to highlight these spaces that are all connected to the Port of LA that moves in shipments from all over the world, and they move through the country and again impact various communities as they move through the country. And so I also invited people who've been impacted by these industries to be a part of this process. I was able to connect with a couple of folks. You'll see in this video, one of the rituals was at the near an Amazon warehouse, and I was able to work with someone who at that time was working within the Amazon warehouse. And also I did another ritual in the Coachella Valley where there were some pesticides that were sprayed and impacted some of the local high school students. And one of those students who was impacted also participated. And as a part of this project, I also learned that I was exposed to some toxic chemicals, specifically hexavalent chromium, and that I didn't know this growing up, but that it happened, and that Aaron Brockovich actually came to where I'm from in Bloomington, which is a small town in Southern California, and did some activist work, but it was all done in English. And so my family never found out about it, and I didn't know about it until I was doing this art project. And so I was actually able to get a grant from the Foundation for Contemporary Arts to do a fifth ritual. So 4 were planned, and I was able to do a fifth one near this quarry that released these toxic chemicals. And so you will see all 5 of these rituals here in this video. I'm going to just play it for you. It's a short, I think, couple minutes long.
La tierra me traga, se traga mi ser.
So we are at number 23 of 25, just a couple left now. And this is a social practice project that I did at Echo Park Lake in Los Angeles in 2017. This was a research-based project where I looked into the history of Echo Park, and I specifically focused on Amy Semple McPherson and also the Lady of the Lake, and wanted to really highlight some of the more femme histories in the space, and also ways that artists and visionaries have worked with religion, with spirituality, with community organizing, and ended up doing 4 different movements throughout the day. This is a trailer that shows you what the performances look like. I incorporated divination, performance, sound, and movement, invited people from the community to participate. This was such a fun event, and it was for the now late Machine Project that used to be in Los Angeles. And I'm really proud to say that the zine from this project, AngelUS, is now at LACMA as a part of the Machine Project collection. And yeah, I'm super, super proud of this project as well. And you might be wondering why it's all the way at the end, because you can see it's from 2017. And so really wanting to show that chronological order of my work. And so yeah, again, I'll show a little bit of this.
Hay un 4 en el cuadro. Sobre el mar y la tierra. Symbols man, lion, ox, eagle, cross, dove, crab, crown, red, gold, blue, purple, rojo, oro, azul, morado, red, gold, blue, purple, red, gold, blue, purple. Rojo, oro, azul, morado, red, gold, blue, purple, red, gold, blue, purple. Savior, Holy Spirit, Healer, soon coming Queen, Salvador, Bautizador, Sanador, Reina que viene.
Number 24, which is a still. I had the incredible artist Byers Gamber, who documented this performance event. And so wanted just to highlight some of his work because his work is so beautiful. And I feel so grateful to have been documented by him. And so again, this is a photo from that video you just saw. And this is my last image. And again, another photo by Ian, and just showing more detail. This is at night, just to kind of also really highlight that this was a day-long event that I spent all day on March 15, 2017 at Echo Park Lake. And, you know, I love this image. It shows again that I have video, that there are other people participating. If you look closely, you could see that my face is being projected onto the Lady of the Lake. So also really speaking to what it means for me to insert myself into these histories, to also transgress gender, to transgress history and time, and to invite also other folks to participate, because there are two performers there who are a part of this. And one of those performers is Eliza Swan, or Emerald, who is also the founder of the Golden Dome School, which I mentioned a couple of times here. So also like kind of showing those like webs that are woven in our practices, right? That we show up to support each other within different containers. And it's great to highlight and celebrate the containers that we inhabit. And so again, wanting to say that to you as an artist, that if you're concerned about the containers that you have, or if they feel blurry, or if there's different like cross sections or cross pollinations that are happening, that's something you want to highlight and actually find a way to create a story, a narrative around that. And so I'm curious, like, what kind of narrative you're maybe feeling like I made through this portfolio, maybe some questions for you to think about, and just thinking about the way that I line this all up before we close here. I just want to again show you what it all looked like all together, starting with my first three. Here are the top three. I'm just going to show them one more time. As you can see, really impactful work for the top three, as I shared. And then you move more into detail after that. I think that's like a good strategy to follow. As you can see in these 25 images, I've highlighted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 works. So 12 separate works in these 25 images. So again, thinking about how you divide the amount of mediums that you're allowed, how you kind of make that decision about what you introduce first, whether it's video or photo. Again, you are crafting a story. You are sharing something that will really communicate how you work as an artist. And so this is my portfolio. I hope that was helpful for you all. I really hope that it answered some questions, or that it opened up some possibilities, some ideas for you. I want to wish you all the best of luck on your journey of applying to grad school. I'm really thrilled to share that a few people have actually reached out to me to say that they've been accepted into different programs, even at UC Berkeley, because of my videos. So that's really what is encouraging me to continue to share information, because I'm seeing magic happen. So it is such a blessing to be able to offer back what I could have really used, knowing that it is this type of information that really opens possibilities, opens doorways for folks who are really needing it. So take this information, as I said, with a grain of salt, use what makes sense, and definitely leave a comment. Let me know what questions come up for you. I would love to make more videos. If you're wanting a video about my personal statement, I would love to share more about that. And I also would love to share what it's been like now post MFA too. If you're interested in learning about what's it like to leave an MFA program and go into the world as a working artist, I think these are all valuable things to talk about that a lot of us as artists don't really get to hear, or don't really get to talk about that openly. And it makes a world of difference to feel like you're a part of a community that is really supporting each other and offering resources. And that's why I do what I do. That's why I take the time to make these videos in the midst of a busy schedule. I just know how valuable this kind of information is. So thank you all so much. Sending lots of love and blessings, and wishing you all the best on your journeys. May the art goddesses be shining upon you and supporting you in your decision making process, in your organizing, in your curating, in your application. May they be with you. So be it or better. Bye.